All right. Welcome everybody to Call and Response, a multicultural view. I know this was like, I mean, each time I find a theme, it's normally about something that's going on, in the world today, and and of course it's so relevant with the ice raids and all of that. So I mean, the work that came in was just powerful, and your collaborations were wonderful. And I always talk about this. A lot of times, yes, it's the finished work, like seeing the work together, but I hope, that for you, it's about the process. It's about like the thinking, like, okay, this is what I received. How am I going to respond? What's it going to say? What am I feeling right now? All of that. So I know I haven't done it in a little while, but I've done many rounds, and the process was always the best part. So, and then being able to share that, of course. So, yeah. So I think we'll start with, I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see. Um, and oh, I should have. Oh, let's see. Before I do that, so two artists who aren't able to make it. Oops, no, that's not what I want. Two artists who aren't able to make it, they sent me a couple of things to read.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
they, yeah, they have two videos. Oh, and here, I will put the link in chat. Um, so I will just, and what we'll do is if this is your first time, um, let's see, before I share the screen, what I'll do is when I share my screen, if you want to talk and like your partner's here, you could both talk at the same time about, your partnership, about the experience, not necessarily about each individual piece, take a couple of minutes. That way everybody gets a chance. Um, and yeah, but it is about the, sorry, I've been talking so much lately, my throat gets itchy. Um, about the experience. Um, and then of course the finished artwork, but also, especially with everything that's going on today, in our town, city, state, country, world. So, um, so yes, Raisha and Rachel, they sent me text. So I'm gonna read that first, and let me bring it up here. So Raisha, she's from Germany, and Rachel's from downtown LA. So Raisha said, I started the call and response with a portrait of mine in an installation of old garbage nets, and I continued with the colorful garbage nets, always with the song in my mind from Leonard Cohen, Democracy ist kommt to the USA. I'm going to post that in chat because I won't be able to pronounce that. But yes, it's a Leonard Cohen song, so you can take a look at that there. And then she also said, art can be the highest form of hope, even in dark times like today in the world. Never forget to hope. Never let hope go away. Still making art anyway. What's going on around you and in the world? That should be my message in the ping pong with myself. They kind of they got lost in translation, some of the emails and correspondence. So she ping-ponged with herself a little bit. But that's what I'd like to tell you all at the Artist Talk today. And then Rachel sent this to talk. She has a studio in downtown LA, Rachel Berkowitz, and you can see both of their videos, and I'll share them in just a second on the screen. We won't watch them, but you can go back and watch them. The call and response prompted a visual conversation born from crisis. I produced a series of 3 oil paintings created during a time of global unrest and local upheaval due to ice raids in downtown Los Angeles. As protests erupted and sirens echoed through the streets, I found myself torn between the need to bear witness and the desire to withdraw in sorrow. In those moments, painting became both protest and prayer. The first piece emerged during the first days of the protests, titled United We Bloom. In times of unrest, we rise together, rooted in care, defiant in hope. Beneath the bloom of jacarandas, we remember community is everything. This work channels the collective grief, rage, and unity felt as my neighbors marched, stores boarded up, and curfews fell over my city like shadows. I painted it as a way to process helplessness and to anchor myself in the idea that community care is resistance. The following two paintings evolved into what I now call the Tech Glow series. These luminous abstract oil works grapple with our digital entanglement. They radiate with internal light, blending soft botanical forms with pixelated scripts and glowing squares that mimic screens. They reflect the tension of our time, the beauty of escape, contrasted with the weight of awareness. The glow soothes and seduces, but beneath it lies unease, a fractured psyche caught between vigilance and disconnection. This call and response allowed me to meditate on modern duality, on the global crisis unfolding in real time, on emotional saturation, and on the strange solace we find in screens. It asks, how do we care for each other across cultures and borders? How do we stay grounded in a world that never turns off? So, lovely notes from both of them. So welcome if you're just coming on. And also, if you all want to put your contact information in chat, that way you can all follow each other because we are international. It's so great to see everybody today. Let's see. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And let's see, who would like to go first as far as talking? Don't everybody jump at once.
Chris, let's go.
Oh, wait, do you want to fight with Adiola? Adiola, raise your hand.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Adiola is your partner here? Oh, Stacy, yes. Okay, Adiola and Stacy, and then Dallas and Chris. Go ahead, Adiola and Stacy.
Yeah, I am muted. Okay, I'm talking. Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Well, I was a little bit slow catching up with Stacy because I was getting ready for my residency at the time that the pairing was made available, and I had finished a piece and I forgot to send it. So she sent me a reminder, like, I haven't received it. So I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm so sorry. I was trying to be on top of things. And so then we got started, and it was a very nice exchange of information. I was supposed to be the call, and she was the response. And we started out with more of something to reflect the very first one. Then it kind of changed with what was going on with the protests and all this other stuff. So we kind of weave that into our responses and call. So if Stacey wants to add more to it. So like the first one, I love every one of them. And I started out with that, and with the sense of reflecting who am I, and one side might be more obvious, the other side might not be more obvious. And then she responded with the one, and I think she said she was doing a series of this, so I'll let her tell us more about it. And then it kind of went from that, and then it shifted to the protest that was going on with my king, and also with the other protests going on in LA.
Awesome. Thank you, Adiola.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Stacey.
Oh, so Adiola was traveling, and this, I've done so many call and response. This is the one that was sort of like the fewest pieces that I've done in a series. And I kind of welcome that because I'm just so exhausted from the world right now, as I'm sure many of us are. And it was different in that this was a more sort of like quiet, just back and forth between the two of us without the social posting and all that thing, just because I just, I was trying to like manage my energy and everything. And that was, the birthday parade was going on and just all these things were happening. And it was just, it was hard. It was hard. And then I finally had to make a video about, that was like celebrating Pride Month. It was like I found all the missing rainbows and put them in here. All I want to say is that it was really this was a different type of experience for call and response from the others, as I said, because it was just it was a slower pace and it was more just a personal back and forth. And I would pick one thing from Ariela's work to kind of hone in on. Sometimes it was just a word, like when I did my witness piece, that was just from the words in her previous video. And I don't even, it's kind of like I'm at a lot. I haven't found myself at a feeling so at a loss for what to do that I couldn't even do something, if that makes sense. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that, but that's kind of my personal experience as an artist that was going on right now. Was just kind of overload, I think.
Yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adiola too.
Well, I agree. Also, it's one of my smallest color response, and even though it was on the quiet side, but it was, I feel like it was still impactful because and I wasn't doing a lot of at the end social posting even, and it has been like that for the last few call and response, like in the past, because I've done every one of them, and in the past I will be posting back and forth, but for, I guess it's the mood of what's going on in the country and everything else. The one before this one and the one with the receipt and everything, I did them, but I wasn't in that state of mind. Even posting generally my stuff of things that I have, sometimes it just, the energy is not there to do all that posting and be all like, uh, sharing and stuff. And I kept, so yeah, I totally agree with you. This is not, is the most with the least. And and it's interesting that you said that, because it wasn't just this. The one I did prior to this one was also very quiet compared, because, and I think a lot of it has to do with trying to manage and match your energy with the current work event. And yeah, definitely I agree. Yeah. and, and it's interesting, that here's somebody celebrating his birthday with a parade, and we're all feeling this sense of heaviness on us, and so I felt that it was ironic that his birthday happened to be in, Pride Month. So that's when I did that little video clip to say, okay, it's. I'm sure if he had a choice, he might say, let's eradicate Pride Month so that I can have a birthday because I don't want to be associated with them. But I didn't have any choice. So, it's interesting. So anyway.
Yeah, thank you both so much. It's interesting because the last few call-in responses, less people have shared them on social media. And so, I think it is because we're exhausted. It's like we're going to do the work, but it's like, that's it. Or, it's like, okay, what can we do? And, I think call and response teaches us that too, teaches us, or it is, like I was thinking about it, you know, because every partnership has been different, including in as far as some, you know, the partners have talked to each other the whole time and asked questions and answered, where some were quiet. And it's like you got what you needed from it, you know, and I think that's huge. And you know, and sometimes, I mean, especially the multicultural, you know, I didn't even consider how, you know, pairing artists up, you know, from different countries, you know, I mean, how that would affect, and it did, you know, in different ways. It, you know, things were lost in translation. And so I feel like it's all a learning experience. It's all an experience, period, where, you know, I mean, hopefully, you know, all of these call and responses, everybody's able to grow from them and get what they need at the time from them, whatever that looks like. So, you know, taking a couple months off and seeing what happens, you know, just we all need a break, but and then coming back with aging and then food after that. We'll see how those go. I was like thinking, oh, maybe the food one that'll get me to cook because I don't cook.
Oh,
But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. So, yeah, I mean, I love hearing your stories. So, thank you both so much. All right, Chris and Dallas. Who wants to go first?
well, Chris was the call, so and this was her first experience, so I'm gonna let her talk about her experience first.
Okay.
All right, cool. Yeah, so this was my first time doing anything like this, and I just signed up. I had never seen any of the talks before, so I didn't know what to expect. And if I had thought for 1 second longer, I probably wouldn't have done it because I don't know, I felt qualified. I am so, I am so grateful for this experience. It has really changed me. So the first one was, you know, because I'm part of the LGBTQIA community, and I did this series of still doing a series of still pictures. And this was just a rainbow one for Pride Month. And I wasn't really sure what to start with, but that's what I started with. And do we go back and forth? Do you want to talk about your work, Dallas? And
Well, and I responded with something I titled intersectionality, and I love that she did it on the metal piece. And I had this rusted out piece. I'm like, oh well, this is perfect to respond to what Chris did. So the intersectionality of I've got the Pan-African colors and the LGBTQ colors that are there, and the intersectionality of them. You know, the way I wove it together both with the fibers and with the paint on this luscious rusted out piece of metal that I had, you know. So I'm like, well, this was a very great start for our collaboration. So I thought that was great.
I loved that you chose rusty steel for that. And then adding the rainbow. And here's where I was so moved, and I thought, what am I doing? I don't know anything about culture, right? And honestly, I'll just say, as a white person in this country, I've kind of looked the other way as far as anything that I thought could reek of white supremacy. I thought, nope, that's not for me. Like the whole concept, white pride. No, I never looked at what I might have in my background that was a culture that could be okay. And so I just, you know, I reached out to Dallas and just open communication because I want to learn and I want to do this, right? And so for this one, you know, I loved that. I guess when I saw her piece, the woven steel, and I know she loves paper, I thought, let me look into this, right? So I tried to learn more about Dallas, and I just thought, this is the first time I've ever felt like I could be safely involved in anything to do with culture, and I loved it. I loved this experience. So I learned about Dallas, you know, for at least beginning to learn about Dallas and about how she has a genuine love for African people around the world. And looking at her work, I really got to feel that. And there's so much I could say, and I know we're pressed for time here, but I was just so moved, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And so for this, I carried on with her steel, and the flow of water from her piece, and I wanted to include her, the Pan-African colors, and I couldn't find a faucet, so I thought I'm gonna give water for the flow of life anyway and find other ways to open that. So that's where that one came from.
And I carried on her theme of filling, this is titled Filling the Ancestral Cup. So I used, of course, the cowrie shells and then the old piping stuff, because, I've got bits and pieces of stuff all around everywhere. And of course, the royal purple colors and that sort of thing. So in responding to Chris's piece.
Wow.
And Dellis's piece, filling the ancestral cup, I'll just say, I don't have a master's degree in art, so I'm behind in some ways, but that seeing her filling the ancestral cup and thinking about it and what she was doing, what material she used, how she used them, that blew my mind. It's the first time that I've been able to look at like an assemblage and really connect the dots of meaning and culture and art, and it was mind-blowing. So continuing that, and her ancestral cup is filled with pearls and cowrie shells and precious souls. And for me, I look at my background and what's left of what I find in my family history. And for me, my cup is just, I'm not porcelain anymore. Being queer, I try to be more like glass, and I can see all the rainbow colors in my glass, but also like what's left of my porcelain family, the bubbles, there's rainbow reflections in there, and it's there's more to it, but I'll just leave it at that. But this whole process has been just phenomenal for me.
And I think we lost Dellis for a second, so hopefully she'll be right back. But I do want to say, you don't need a master's degree. So don't even worry about that. I mean, this work is like, it's from you, and it is like, worthy of a degree if you need one. I mean, it's, so yeah, you do not need a master's degree.
It's so funny because this is the first time I've tried assemblage, but also just working with Della, she is a phenomenal human being. Like, my mind is blown. And if you get a chance to check out her work, like I couldn't believe it. Like, she had an open studio. I went to that. It was phenomenal. It was beautiful.
Oh.
And then that same day, she had an opening down in Long Beach. And then I drove to Redondo to see her work there. And I thank you so much for doing this. It was just like really life-changing,
Sorry,
Oh,
we had a power surge or something. I'm like, what the heck?
Sorry. Oh no. Welcome back.
Thank you. So I use a cup that I got from Linda Viejo, Make Them All Mexican, so I'm just trying to bring in, the whole multicultural aspect of everything in response to her cup.
Love it.
The last one is kind of a mishmash of an old rusty lantern and a compass for a ship. And for me, I mean, the compass, I don't have a needle, and usually the light from a lantern comes from below. You light a fire from below, but no, I didn't have that. I have a broken compass, and I just used some fairy lights in the top to light the compass. So for me, it's like, regardless of how broken culture for me might have been, I at least have a way to light my own path going forward.
That's beautiful. And I just, the use of the compass, no, it's like, like somebody said, brilliant execution, I think, for your previous work. Also this one too.
Yeah. Yeah. She did great. Yeah. That was my response. Just bringing back everything to, Africa being the, cradle of civilization and everything. So going back to that. And again, with the rusted out top for the mason jar, the candle to light our way, and a flag to encompass everyone.
Beautiful.
So the next one was, I just started noticing in Dellis's work her use of, well, the cowrie shells and pearls, and like, would it be like repeating patterns? And so for me, this got off track a little bit, but it just reminded me of this photograph I took of Rusty Steel. And I took the photo, I printed it on this machine here, and then I used natural stones and cut fake pearls to kind of just continue that look.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and then the last the response was the title is From the One Many. So you have the huge cowrie shell in the middle representing, you know, like Lucy or the first woman or whatever, and then from her coming everyone else.
Beautiful. What a great collaboration.
Yeah, I was so thrilled that we were paired together. She may not have continued on if she was paired with somebody.
Yeah.
But yes, you have sparked a wonderful friendship here, Christine, because Christine,
Yay!
yeah, great. I'm, so glad that she came into my life.
I'm so grateful, Dallas. Thank you so much for everything.
You're welcome.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you both. All right, who would like to go next?
Is my partner here?
Let's see, who is your partner? Oops.
Shloka.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
Let's see. But if you want to go ahead and talk about the work, you can. I don't. Yeah.
My family is really, really kind of strange because my mother and my father both broke out of their traditions. My mom's family is very Armenian. My cousins are all very Armenian, except now that their children, which would be my mother's niece, the younger generation is now marrying out of culture. But my mom married out of culture. My dad's family is Jewish. He married out of culture. His father's second wife was German, So it's like, that's what this is talking about. It's talking about my family and that we're kind of out of culture. And I have to say, I don't know if Shagane's here, but when I heard her name, I asked her, I said, I think that was my grandmother's name. And I found out through going through all this bullshit that yes, my grandmother's name was not Shogo, it was Shogane.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, oh my God. So that kind of opened up for me. And see, like my uncle, he married someone who was Japanese. You know what kind of shit that caused? And my mom married my dad and he's a Jew. But the funny thing is, my cousin's daughter married someone who was Jewish. And that was like, oh my God. And one of my cousins married someone who was Jewish and was like, oh my God, but we're Armenian. I'm going, it's just like, for me, it's like, everyone get over yourselves. That's, in that one, that's my German grandmother. That's the only grandmother I knew. The one above is my Jewish grandmother. And I didn't even know she was alive until one of my cousins gave me this photo. And I went to my dad, I go, look, I've got this photo. He goes, where'd you get that? I'm going, who's that woman? That's my mother, damn it. It's none of your business. I'm like, oh. Because had I known she was alive, she lived until like 1977, I would have found her. Okay. Because that's family. So yeah. And the very last photo is of me and my cousins. And basically, can you tell which one doesn't fit in? It's me. I'm the one who's crazy. I'm the one who's like, yeah, who cares what we do? It's like, be happy. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I find. It was basically family and how we break our molds.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Kimberly Ann.
Thank you.
It's something to consider is, when you started off, you're like, this is about my family and they're weird. It's like,
We are.
but it's not, I mean, if we like shift that and, I mean, yes, all families are weird in some way or another, but based on like multicultural views, that's not weird. That's a beautiful thing. It's a melting pot. It's the world. It's a global view. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. I like it. I mean, in the bottom, the Armenians are really still kind of clannish. And I'm like, y'all got to get over yourselves. It's like, it's not just being, and I have a lot of Armenian friends from living over in Tahunga and Glendale. And they're like, well, Armenian, Armenian, Armenian. I'm going, you're in the United States, And they're like, why don't you speak Armenian? I said, because my mother didn't. And they're going, but you speak Spanish. I go, I grew up in a Spanish speaking community. Okay. You wanted to talk to people? You spoke Spanish. And this used to be Aztlan. Okay. I don't care. This used to be Aztlan. And that's what you learn. You learn to get along with the people in your community. And so you speak their language. And my family thinks that's weird because they all the Jews lived in a Jewish neighborhood at one time. All the Armenians still kind of live in Armenian neighborhoods. I'm like, you guys, whatever.
The one thing I am finding, especially right now, is I'm learning to give everybody grace. It's like everybody's trying to find their way. Everybody's, their home, whatever that means. And maybe it is being in their Armenian community, or maybe it's being, in their Japanese community, or, Little Ethiopia, or whatever it is. That's where they feel like home, whatever that, and if we don't feel the same way, that's okay. We don't need to feel the same way. But, it's like, especially with everything going on in the world, in Iraq and Israel and all of it, it's like, there's not a viewpoint, but everybody has a different perspective based on their experience and history. And it's like, I listen, and that's all I can do is listen and be there for whoever it is, because one friend, could feel this way, is Jewish, could feel this way about the Jews. One friend is Jewish, could feel a totally different way. One friend is Muslim, and so Armenian, I mean, it's the whole, and that's what I love about the like the melting pot, and that's, for me, that's a multicultural view, is being open to your neighbors, and, and that's for everybody. I mean, of course. But that's okay.
Well, I lived in Koreatown. I mean, where I lived originally on 8th Street and Gramercy, it was all gay. Okay, that was it. And then as everybody died in the 80s, it became Korean. So then I became enmeshed in a different culture, and I learned Korean, and I learned how to deal with the Koreans. And so it's like, I'm like, okay, whoever I'm around, for me, that's what you do.
Yeah. Which is great for you. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Kimberly Ann.
Thank you.
All right. Ashwarya, would you like to go?
Okay. Hi, Christine. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Dallas, and everyone. I do see a lot of new faces. And before I begin, I would like to thank Christine again for hosting it and organizing it. And you talked about home, right? I believe call and response, the different editions do provide us a home again to
Aw.
accommodate the subjectivity. Because in a world where people are busy creating a unified entity and idea, this space at least allows us to be ourselves and to just express in the ways we want. Perhaps there is nothing more closer to the concept of home than this very idea of Shoebox Arts and call and response. So I'm really grateful for that. Also, I rewatched all the artist talks till date, and I unfortunately missed few of them. And I also saw in which Dallas and I were partnered together, and so grateful, Dallas, your kind words, everything. It just lit my mood so much because I was again in the process of applying for research and getting rejected everywhere. Then again, just trying my end edit, and Coincidentally, my PhD topic does involve a lot of aspects from cultural studies. So experimenting simultaneously in this edition was fun to me. But yes, it was not as rigorously, I would say, it was not as stimulating as it is always. But it was fun to look at because for me, this edition specifically with my partner was not how I'm responding or how am I initiating the call, but rather how the other person is also perceiving what I just label as culture. So we are so busy analyzing the differences between the similarities what we carry as individuals, but this edition also brought how we should appreciate and embrace the differences. And
Yes.
before moving on to my piece, sorry if I might have missed out a lot of discussions before. And Chris, I loved your work. Oh my God, you're so amazing. I just loved your execution, and Delish, she's just amazing. And yeah, so okay, I would like to now
That was to
move on
you,
to my
Chris.
works.
She was kind of looking, are you talking about me? Yes,
All right.
you.
So
Yes, Chris, she was talking about you.
Yeah.
okay. All right. So I don't think my partner is here, but okay, let me just begin with what I thought culture is. I wanted to deconstruct and demystify the idea of culture here by just incorporating certain elements. If I don't even remember what I wrote, but as you can see, there are different colors and there are hardly any similarities, and that was the whole point. Like we were not busy creating what the patterns we are finding in each other's pieces to bring out the like the similarities, but rather looking at the differences. So also the fourth picture is important and very significant because if you are all following up with news and other updates, while we were in the midst of this call and response, there was a tragic incident that took place of a flight that was from India to UK that just got crashed. It just I mean 203 to 206 passengers just died in a plane crash. Perhaps while we were just dealing with it, it was very kind of her to just send a picture mourning, and
Oh,
that sparked an idea of how mourning itself becomes a very subject that people don't really talk about because it brings out a lot of emotions and stirs up our feelings. But there are different similarities in the culture, like in the funeral processions we follow. So we did incorporate, and I just played around with colors and different texts and everything, and it was for me, I was still figuring out what to respond or to call because it was completely abstract. I mean, there were no similarities in the pieces together if you put, but I enjoyed the process of creating, and that's the whole point of this initiative. So yes, I did enjoy, and I look forward to more such collaborations together.
oh, thank you, Ashwarya. What are you getting your PhD in?
Okay. So I am working on two separate subjects altogether, but in
Jeez.
culturals, yes. So it would be an amalgamation between medical humanities, trauma studies, and also the cultural impacts. How people basically, I want to reinforce the idea how watching films can also be considered as a study in medical humanities because it's not just the prescriptions, not just the reading habits that people develop, but watching can also help in just decreasing the traumatic effects that people have. So yeah.
I will send you information. Debbie and Larry Klein, they're an artist couple in San Diego. They teach doctors how to draw the body because it's like like you get closer. I mean, so I feel like there's
Right.
something there, and I think you could have a great conversation with them.
It would be amazing. It would be really, really, really helpful for me. And
Yeah.
that would actually give me another aspect to defend that. Look, I'm not just limiting my research to this country, but I'm like incorporating internationally. So
Yeah.
yes, that would be great.
Yay. Well, and yeah, again, everything going on in the world, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for organizing it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Sue, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'd love to. And I don't think my partner is here today either. And this was sort of like a fluke that I'm here because I, for some reason, missed the email, and a friend said, "Did you see?" And I missed the deadline. I applied like 4 hours late or something. I thought, well, okay, it's fine, whatever. I'll just do whatever. And then a couple days later, Christine, you emailed me. You're like, "We had another late person. Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Absolutely, yes, yes, yes." So me and Teresa, whom I've never met before, had a really great first exchange, and then she disappeared. So I thought, well, I'll make my next one. And then she still didn't show up. And then I'll make my next one, and she still didn't show up. And I emailed her, "How's it going?" And she still didn't show up. And so I just decided I would try to make as many as I could, like one a day, until the deadline. So I happened to be in New York at the time. And was just photographing lots and lots of flowers and nature, and art, and just things that I was experiencing and participating in. So one of the things that I was there for was Museum Mile, which, if you don't know what that is, every year in New York City, they block off Fifth Avenue from like 86th all the way up to 110th. And there's all these museums along the way that open their doors. You could go in for free. And they also
Wow.
bring cultural events onto the street. So there was music and dance performance.
Oh,
There was art making. It was so rich and vibrant, and just like had a huge smile on my face the whole day. Plus, nice long walk outside and friendly people. So I saw this, I saw like graffiti, I saw people dancing, I saw artwork. Teresa, in her one and only image back to me, we had no real exchange by email, no Zooms or anything, but I immediately understood what she was talking about in this image. It's obvious it's about whiteness. And then her response to me with this image had to do with her own experience of whiteness, in how in the United States, her Slavic heritage has been whitewashed, almost erased, and she felt like she didn't have heritage anymore. So like for me, that was like a huge jumping off point, because I've had similar feelings like, where do I fit in? I kind of don't feel like I fit in anywhere, but my family's been here long enough to have dissolved all of our cultural heritage. Yeah, so at the same time, I've been fortunate enough to live in big cities around the United States, and I love culture. I just love it. I love music and dance and art and just everything that's not me. I just love it. So I've kind of developed my own digital collage language using a lot of my own photography, a lot of repetition, and like hidden meaning. And I use language a little bit, just trying to get people to think about their own experience, their own neighborhood, and what they have access to, and what they might be willing to share to add to the whole experience of what it's supposed to mean to be an American, at least in my experience.
wow. Thank you so much, Sue. And I absolutely love that you just took the initiative and continued that, and Teresa is, she's lovely. I don't know, I don't remember if she emailed or not, or if we've heard from her since, but I mean, we know her. She comes to our shows and stuff. So I hope she's okay. I know she's moving. So
I think she just had a lot going on,
yeah,
and had
Life be
overextended
lifing.
herself. Yeah,
Life be
so
lifing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So I mean,
Yep.
yeah, I think it was just a busy timing thing.
Exactly.
So like I said to her in an
It
email,
is really cool that you just said, well, I'll just do. I love
Yep.
that.
Yep.
thank you. Yeah, it was a great exercise for me to sort of reflect on, what's important to me, and I'm even more clear on it now.
Oh,
Well, thank you.
good.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And like I think I kind of mentioned, or I meant to say, I mean, everybody is going through something right now, whether it's personal, through health, I know so many people who have passed away lately, or family who have passed away, or are sick, or who I wouldn't even have thought of, who's dealing with breast cancer. I'm like, I mean, it's like, and then the economy and everything. It's like, there's anxiety is like at a high. People are angry, people are lashing out. And so it's like I'm, trying to like step back and just like I'm learning patience and grace, because
Yeah,
I feel like that's all we can do right now. Otherwise we'll get caught up in whatever it is, and
absolutely.
our energy will be even more anxious and all of that. So yeah. So no, thank you. I love that you continued on, and your work is beautiful.
Thank you.
So
Thank
you're
you
welcome.
for creating this. And I definitely want to do the food and then age one.
And as I think Ashwarya was talking, I'm like, should we do one on death?
Yes, I
Wouldn't
think
that
that
be
would be great.
powerful?
Yeah.
Yep, I wrote it down.
Yes.
It could be
Yes, we need to do
crazy.
that because our family has been dealing with death every single month since December.
Yes.
So, I'm like, oh my God, it's too much,
Yep.
So how do you process that? So yes, that would be another good one
Yeah.
to do.
Yep. Yep.
See, I'm weird. I help people cross over. Okay, I talk to their souls. I show them where to go. I go, okay, if you want to go right now, you can wait, but this is when you're ready. This is where you're going. I can't go.
And Kimberly Ann, can
But
you see doing that, having that come out in your artwork? Wouldn't that be just amazing?
Oh, you're gonna
Yep.
make me cry, Dallas. I just helped so many people since, I guess, the AIDS. When my friend first died from AIDS, that's when I started doing that, helping people, just like, okay, we can do this. And I even do it long distance. I don't have to be sitting with you. I
Yep.
can just do it. And I've
I
been doing it.
Yep. I
Thank you
know
for that.
several death doulas.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But it's good. I guess my ex-boyfriend from high school got in contact with me. I'm like, oh, go the hell away. But there have been people in his family who have needed to die, 3 of them that I helped. I'm thinking that must be why he had to get in contact with me, because otherwise I wouldn't talk to him, you know? So yeah, it's really, for me, it's good. And I tell people, I understand you're going to miss your family. I do. But why do you want them to stay here and suffer? Why? Well, I mean, aren't you guys suffering enough? Why make them stay here and suffer more? Let them go. They'll still be there. That's what George Harrison said. There's never been a time you've never been here, and there will never be a time that you have never been here. And that's really true. We're always here. Our souls are always here. Always. It's just a human envelope, So
Well, let's talk about that when we get to death.
cool.
All right. Victoria or Paulina?
Hi. Go ahead, Paulina.
Sure. Thanks so much. I guess Nina is not here, right? I didn't see her.
Yeah, no.
All right. So that's me then. I'm Polly. I'm from Germany, and that is already my third call and response. Where should I start? Well, I often use photography and storytelling to connect to personal experiences, like with broader social or identity-wise questions. And this is why this special open call theme spoke to me like a lot. But also this put the bar like really, really high because I had so much I wanted to share. That is why I was so happy to have been paired together with Nino, because she was so patient, so smart, and so understanding with me. However, I have a fun fact that it took me like 1 or 2 emails to understand that she's from Georgia, the country, not Georgia. Which is
Yeah.
again identity, call and response, etc. So, well, when I think back to the exchange with Nino, what stands out most is how we grew into something deeply honest and almost intuitive. We didn't plan ahead much, which, like, of course, is part of the deal here. But still, I was very touched how fast we shared many details you normally wouldn't share with someone you just met. And I appreciate it a lot. And we also like switched the game and asked each other like grown-up questions, but also very light and almost childlike questions. And one was like, what is the eldest object in your household? And that is how the recurring motive of the box appeared. I think this is the last 2 images. I shared the photograph of a small silver casket. That is the oldest object in my household. Oh, I have it here on my tables. Yeah, I have it here. That's like really, really small and tiny.
Oh,
And Nino and I, we call it the Pandora box.
I love that when I saw it.
My favorite piece Nino created was the one that is the colorful one. I think it is the hand, the 4th image or the 3rd image, where she used, with her son's permission, her son's drawing. And I added my own drawing when I was little, like for the next image. What else? In another piece, I added flowers over the face of my great grandfather, Yasha. That is the piece, the yellow one, exactly. And his parents were murdered in the Holocaust. He died before I was born, but I always felt like a whole connection, emotional connection and closeness to him. And the flowers I added made it look like he was crying them. And somehow crying flowers resonated a lot with Nino and me, so we created the idiom. We referred to it all over the emails, all over the exchange. So somehow I really loved the game we created there and the closeness and also the lightness. So yeah, for me, the collaboration meant a lot. And I appreciate Nina's creativity, her smartness, her sensitivity so much.
Oh, yay. You talk about lightness, but it's also so deep. I mean, like the opening of Pandora's box as the last one. Yes. It's like, especially for a multicultural view, it's like, okay, what are we getting into? As far, well, I don't know. We could look at it many different ways, but yeah, but it's a powerful metaphor for sure.
But we also talked exactly about traumas and how much our family carried them and how we're trying to get rid of them, not by ignoring them, but by talking about them and not passing them on to the next generation, to our friends and family. So maybe opening the box could also mean something more positive, more light, more.
Absolutely. Yep. I love that. I love that. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Polly. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Victoria.
Well, I feel a little bit awkward because I was hoping Ilka would be here. Has anyone else on the call today collaborated with Ilka before? The name was familiar to me from previous rounds, but I've never worked with Ilka. Does anyone?
Yeah, they've participated many times, but I don't remember who they were paired with.
Okay. And I wasn't sure about, because I looked up the name Ilka, Turkish, and I didn't know it's a name that's used for both genders. So, and we never actually had, I'm almost feeling a little bit envious of Paulina and her partner that they had like this very, like really building a relationship. So I was traveling the whole time, so it was a little hard for me I was very faithful, sending something in every single day. In fact, we went pretty fast through the sequence. But I had wanted to actually get acquainted, but I didn't have my computer with me. I only had my phone and I'm kind of technically challenged. So it was a very strange, so I'm not sure. I wish Ilka were here. But the Ilka was calling, and so the first image was this, I assume from a museum in Turkey, of different antique heads. And it's kind of interesting because in a way, because I'm an art historian, I kind of, it surprised me because I was thinking like more like the other people that have shared today on the call about like current events and the riots and the whole ICE thing and like all the things that are like really hot, urgent multicultural topics right now. But this first image kind of, I thought, oh, it's a whole other, like this is about different cultures and the kind of art they create. And it's, this is antiquity. So that was kind of a surprise. And so I was in Boston, and when I first got this image, I was just walking in the Boston Public Garden, and it was graduation. I was there for my college reunion. And so I saw that this, a figure, I think I couldn't read the name on the statue, but I think it's one of the early abolitionists or something. And anyway, some smart aleck from BU obviously climbed up in the middle of the night and put a football jersey, or hockey, I guess it is, because there's a hockey stick that the statue is holding, and the jersey. So I don't know how long it's been there or anything about it, but I just thought that it would make a kind of as sort of showing like okay, you have all these heads from antiquity, but they're not because they're ancient, the bodies are no longer there. And I have no idea. I can't interpret these works because I wish that Ilka and I'd had a conversation, but I was thinking how things can change over time. And so that was the idea of this kind of zany, like the sculpture was created as a particular homage to somebody who was very important in history, who seemingly, at least I didn't know who it was, has been forgotten. And so it was kind of like a, how the image lives on in another way. And then the next image that Ilka sent again looked to me like a, an important monument from ancient times. And then weirdly enough, I got out of a commuter train outside Boston that same day and saw this Alexander the Great park, like go figure. And I was trying to figure out which photo to send, because if you scroll in, if you see the photo, there's like a head of Alexander the Great. But I wanted to show how bizarre this was, like in this random suburb. I don't even remember the name of the suburb, but I was meeting one of my teachers at a coffee shop, and she just told me which stop to get off. And so I don't even know where I was, but I just thought, this is so freaky, like Alexander the Great Park suddenly out of nowhere in this random suburb outside of Boston. And then the next image I got was this really gorgeous. So I was really enjoying the art history. I've never been to Turkey, but now I really want to go there. This beautiful lion. So it just so happened that while I was in Boston, they had the annual dragon boat races on the Charles River. And that's in itself kind of a weird, like it's a, it's for crew teams, because everyone's like really into crew because of the river in Boston, but it's very Chinese driven, and yet it's not at all Chinese. So it's like this weird mix of like a local thing about like being on a crew team and all the different universities and things. So I took a picture of, to respond to the lion, a picture of the dragon, that they were doing a dragon dance. And then lo and behold, this other dragon came back. So then there was another dragon I saw. So I took a picture of that. And then I got this image of lanterns and trees, which I thought was really beautiful. And then I wasn't sure what the cultural statement was. So, but I was I just loved the image. And I happened to be I was back now, and was up at the Getty Center for the opening of the two Pride exhibitions, which are very dense and very complicated. So if any of you are in LA and haven't seen them, it was the biggest audience for the opening that the Getty has ever had. So
Wow.
that in itself, I took like a zillion photos at the opening. I felt like Richard Avedon or something. So maybe there can be like a pride column response. I have a lot of material. Anyway, they had these beautiful, really beautiful lanterns that they put in the fountains at the opening. So that was just kind of like responding to lanterns, like Turkish lanterns in some park and like high-end, high-tech Getty lanterns in LA. And then the next photo was this, you know, I don't know who that is, but obviously with the Turkish flag or whatever flag that is. I'm sorry, I'm so ignorant. I feel kind of embarrassed, but doing the best I can with this. So I thought, oh, you know, then there's that other side of like, you know, honoring the heroes. And I don't know who that hero is in the Turkish photo. And then this was, you know, I'm actually not even sure this, and I was in Boston Public Garden. And then one of those kind of neo-realism sculptures then with the man with the children. So it was a kind of a strange thing because it almost felt subversive that like all these public monuments, but I didn't know whom I was looking at in the images I was getting, and then I was not being even curious enough to look to see who these subjects were of these statues I saw in the Boston Public Garden. So this is for some reason cut off, but if you look at the actual image in response, it's like a kind of a classic there. So instead of a puto, there's usually a puto with a fountain if it's kind of a classical image. And this was a child. So I thought, oh, that's perfect because it fits, you know. So obviously the child as used in the Turkish monument, this is some very famous person who was, you know, allegedly good to children. And then I thought, this is just like an anonymous child. It's just like the archetypal child. And then I got this really old, adorable, like whatever, you know, like it looks almost like in Germany, the Hummel figures, a kind of like a ceramic. And so I didn't know what to make of that, but I saw that it's a hunter with a little rabbit. And so then I thought, well, I have a friend from Germany who this Easter rabbit that you see in my image. Again, you have to look at the whole thing to get the full Easter rabbit. That belonged to her grandmother. So it's a very old German, you know, and she only lives in one room now, my friend. So she had to pare down to the absolute essentials in her life. And I was so touched that of the essentials in her life, she chose this Easter rabbit from her grandmother. I thought, what a wonderful, you know, and everything that says about culture too. So it was a kind of strangely like uninformed and weirdly, I don't know, but what I loved about it was it felt to me like it was going in some strange way, going beyond like the identity thing of like, oh, this is my culture and this is the hero of our country and this is the hero of our city or whatever, that it kind of blurred the edges and just became about imagery. And anyway, so I enjoyed it. I'm still curious and I hope to meet Ilka in some form at one point, but it was, I really enjoyed the exchange because it was just fun. I've never been to Turkey and it was very eye-opening to see, you know, someone from Turkey choose these images, you know, and what, I don't know what the significance is, but someday maybe I'll find out. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Victoria. And, you know, sometimes, I mean, as you have, you know, heard with other people, you know, sometimes it's silent and you're not necessarily supposed to know the stories. You just react to the image. And I feel like that's exactly what both of you did. And you can clearly see the through lines. I mean, when I saw your work come together, I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know, because you just focused on these, you know, sculpture and statues and, you know, to tell this story. And I feel like it's very multicultural. So it's, you know, not on the edges, but it's very multicultural. So yeah, I think, you told a beautiful story together.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, especially because I was in Boston for most of the time, and so I was kind of making discoveries myself, but
Yeah.
not really knowing what I was looking at, So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, good, good. I think we got everybody. I don't think there's anybody left. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here today on this Saturday, a holiday weekend here, if whatever that means. But yeah, it's, so now I have food, age, death, birth, and pride. So those will be our next call-in responses for sure in the fall.
Nice. Good job.
In the fall. Yep. So probably starting in September, October.
Look at there. You don't even have to think about it now. You've
I
already
know,
got it set
exactly.
up.
I love it. Yeah,
Done.
I want to say, Christine, again, to echo what Aishwarya said earlier, and everyone has articulated just how much this means, and especially in a time that's fraught with so much angst and
Yes.
Sturm und Drang, to use a German expression, that it's really hard to just like have something to look forward to every day. It's just really, really hard. At least that's how I feel. And every time I've done one of these, and well, Christine knows, because every time I've come on and said I'm an imposter, and then Beatrice, who isn't here today, but
we have to shut that down because you are not.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I just, for me, it's such a treat and a gift, and I feel so privileged to be part of this community, because as I said, my training's as an art historian, and I'm a musician as well, but it's like I've always been in the like interpretive side of the arts, but I have this creative like urge, and this has given me permission to express that to some degree. And so I'm just really, really grateful. And I hope you will have a really good rest, Christine, so you're all fired up when we come back for the next.
Thank you.
Victoria,
if we get the grant,
I wanted to say, Victoria, that your art history background comes through in your work.
Yep.
The way that, the way,
Yes.
and it was very serendipitous, when you're like, hey, I got off the train and
I know
this is perfect because it fits with what she, so it was so exciting to hear you talk about it through your art history lens, and the way you connected it to what your partner was showing. It was exciting. I loved hearing you speak about it.
Oh, thank you. Well, it was, yeah, I'm glad, because I really enjoyed it. I just, as I said, I'm still like, I'll be eternally curious until I meet Ilka and find out what was,
what all those
what it was
things
all
were,
about.
what it meant to her.
Yep.
Or them, or whoever. Yeah.
Thank you, though. Thank you for sharing that, especially I love your work. So I'm
thank
very
you.
honored that you.
I also wanted to add that it was nice that you were away and everything falls in place.
Yep.
Yep.
You were able to find
Serendipitous.
those things that really look like you went research for it, but you were just popping up at the right time, at the right place. So that was interesting to hear that story, where it's like, okay, but I'm in Boston. Oh,
yeah.
Well,
the right place to be.
My late husband, who was a very, very famous art historian, he had this term that he used all the time. He was very spiritual. He called it the jokes of the angels. And what by that is like what we call serendipity or synchronicity or coincidence, if we're really pagan. No, I'm no one says coincidence anymore. We've moved on, at least fortunately. But I love that term. I use it a lot myself, that because what he meant by that was, it's not a matter of like life and death. Oh, this person came into my life just at the right moment and saved my life. It's little tiny, that's why he called them jokes of the angels. It's little tiny moments that if you have, he always said, if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, these are happening all the time.
Right.
And then they're encouraging, because then you realize, oh, like the world isn't necessarily coming to an end, or even if it is, I had this little moment where things came together in a beautiful way. And I just love that. It's always been an encouragement to me. Like you're just kind of in the right place at the right time, or you just see the thing. and it makes, it's a little moment of joy that may have no big significance, but it's life affirming in some profound way. So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All righty, everybody. Well, enjoy your day. If you're in LA and want to come to the opening tomorrow at the Makery 2 to 4, it's in Little Tokyo. We'd love to see you.
Nice.
Otherwise, we'll see you in a couple months when we do our next one. So keep an eye out for an email.
Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.